Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
Huh.
You know, Today we're going to be tackling some unsolved mysteries.
You fun.
Yeah, the kind that really make you think, what if?
Yeah, those are the cases that stick with you even, years later, sometimes even centuries. They just really spark debate and get your imagination going.
It's true. There's something about the unknown that is just so fascinating.
It really pulls you in.
Absolutely. And we've got three big ones for you today.
Oh, wow. Okay.
First, we're going to start with the disappearance of the Sodder children.
Oh, yeah.
Christmas Eve, 1945, five kids vanish from their burning West Virginia home, and it just leaves behind so many questions.
Wow.
Then we'll jump to 1971,
Okay.
the year of D.B. Cooper. The man in the suit hijacked a plane, extorted $200,000, and parachuted into a storm never to be seen again.
Classic.
And lastly, we're going to travel way back in time to the late 1500s to try and tackle the disappearance of the entire Roanoke colony.
Oh, wow.
The only clue. The word Croatoan carved into a post.
Chilling. You know what I think is so fascinating about all of these is that despite, being separated by so much time, they all tap into that same human need to understand the world around us. When we're faced with something we can't explain, we have to try to fill in the blanks, come up with our own theories and explanations.
Oh, absolutely. It's like a puzzle that you just can't put down, even if some of the pieces are missing.
Exactly.
So let's start putting together the mystery of the Sodder children.
Okay.
It's Christmas Eve. A fire breaks out in the Sodder family home.
Oh, gosh.
Of the 9 children inside, 4 escape.
Okay.
But the other 5, never seen again.
Oh, wow.
And here's where things get really strange.
Ah.
No remains. Not even bone fragments were found in the debris.
Now that's strange. Fires need to reach crazy high temperatures to completely incinerate bone,
Right.
upwards of 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah. So could a house fire, even a big one in the 1940s, generate that kind of heat?
Especially with the Sodder family insisting the fire wasn't that intense.
Exactly. And then you have the ladder found near the house after the fire, too short to reach any of the windows or the roof.
What was it doing there?
Right. Was someone else involved?
Yeah, that's suspicious for sure. That one little detail just adds so much to the speculation. Was this a tragic accident, or was there something more going on? Some people even think the children were kidnapped.
Kidnapped.
Yeah. Maybe by someone who had a grudge against the family?
Okay, so if we're going with kidnapping, why? What would be the motive for that? Taking 5 children is a huge risk, especially if you're planning on keeping them hidden for years.
It really is. Plus, think about the logistics of it all.
Yeah.
How do you take 5 children from a burning house without being seen and then keep them hidden? It doesn't seem possible, but then again, what else could have happened?
So we have a fire that might not have been hot enough to destroy bone, a mysterious ladder.
Yeah.
And then years later, the family starts receiving anonymous letters.
No way.
One even included a photo of a young man claiming he was one of the missing Sodder sons.
Oh my gosh, it's like something straight out of a detective novel. So are we ready to move on to D.B. Cooper?
Let's give it a shot. This skyjacking is a completely different kind of mystery.
It really is. This wasn't just a spur-of-the-moment thing. This was carefully planned out.
Okay, so picture this. 1971, a man calling himself Dan Cooper boards a Boeing 727.
All right.
Mid-flight, he very calmly informs the crew he has a bomb and demands $200,000 and 4 parachutes.
Wow.
When they land in Seattle, he lets the passengers go but keeps the crew hostage while they get the ransom.
Hold.
And it's not just that the act itself is so captivating.
Right.
D.B. Cooper chose a very specific aircraft, one with rear stairs that he could use during the flight.
Oh, really?
He even gave detailed instructions to the crew about altitude and airspeed during the drop.
This was not an amateur.
No. This was someone with knowledge, someone who knew what they were doing.
It makes you wonder what kind of person does this kind of thing. Was it about the money, or was there something else going on?
Right. And then he jumps into a raging thunderstorm, no less.
He was practically daring fate to stop him.
He really was. But did he survive? Some people think he was an experienced skydiver. Others think he was incredibly lucky.
Well, I mean, the terrain below is really rough, heavily wooded and dark. Even if he was a skilled skydiver, the odds were totally against him.
And then there's the money. In 1980, a young boy digging on a riverbank found a portion of the ransom.
Really?
Yeah, it was identifiable by its serial number, but most of it is still missing.
So if he didn't survive, how did the money get there? Did he stash it before he jumped? Or did someone else grab it?
And if he did survive, why wouldn't he spend it? It just doesn't add up.
I know, it's a real head-scratcher.
He definitely had a plan. But did it work? Or did D.B. Cooper become another victim of his own elaborate scheme? It's a mystery that just keeps people guessing,
Mm.
kind of like a modern-day folktale.
It really is.
Speaking of mysteries lost to time, let's turn our attention to the Roanoke colony, one of the earliest English settlements in North America,
Oh, yes.
and its very strange and sudden disappearance.
This one takes us back to the late 16th century. Imagine sailing across the ocean, facing terrible storms, and who knows what else to start a new life.
Right.
The Roanoke colonists dealt with all of that, and just when it seemed like they might have actually made it, they disappeared.
It's like they were just swallowed up by the wilderness.
Yeah.
Their houses were empty, belongings were just scattered about as if they left in a hurry.
And no one knows where they went?
Well, the only clue was the word Croatoan, carved into a wooden post.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's spooky.
It really is. And, of course, it's led to centuries of speculation. The most popular theory is that Croatoan referred to a nearby island.
Okay.
Maybe they went there to escape something or to find better resources.
That makes sense to me. If they were struggling, moving to a new location might have seemed like their only option.
Right. But if they moved to this island, why haven't we found any evidence of them living there? You think there'd be something more than just that one carved word?
Yeah, you'd think so. So maybe Croatoan doesn't refer to the island, but to the Croatoan tribe, a Native American group that lived in the area.
Okay, so maybe they joined the tribe either by choice or by force.
It's possible.
What was the relationship like between the English settlers and the Croatoan tribe? Were they known to be hostile?
Well, it's hard to say. We know there was conflict between the English colonists and some Native American tribes, but there was also cooperation and trade.
So it's possible they went to the Croatoan tribe for protection, maybe to avoid fighting with another group or even to escape hardship at the colony. But you'd think there would be some record of this, even if it's just oral history passed down through generations.
Well, there are some clues. Archaeologists have found European artifacts mixed with Native American tools on both Roanoke Island and nearby Hatteras Island, which is where the Croatoan tribe lived.
Interesting. That does suggest some kind of interaction, but it doesn't exactly prove a full-scale integration of the colony. What about other theories? Could something else have wiped out an entire colony? I mean, completely.
Well, disease was a big problem for early colonists.
I can imagine.
You know, they were exposed to new sicknesses and the living conditions were harsh. That could have easily devastated the colony.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if they were already weakened by lack of food or conflict.
Mhm.
But wouldn't we find skeletons or something that shows a mass illness?
Not necessarily. If things were really bad, bodies might have been disposed of quickly or even left unburied,
Ah, I see.
which wouldn't leave much for archaeologists to find. And then there's always conflict with other Native American tribes. You know, the English weren't the only ones who wanted control of that land.
Right. So we have relocation, integration, disease, conflict.
Mm-hmm.
And those are just the most likely theories. There are also some pretty far-out theories out there.
Oh, yes. Some people even believe the colonists were victims of something supernatural.
What?
Maybe a curse.
Mm.
Or even alien abduction.
Alien abduction.
It's a theory, and then you have people who think they time traveled or went through a portal to another dimension.
Wow. Okay. As fun as those theories might be to think about,
Right.
they don't really make sense when you look at the history and the evidence.
Yeah, I agree.
I guess it's natural to want a good story, even if it means bending the truth a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But even without all the supernatural stuff, the Roanoke mystery is still so interesting.
Definitely.
It shows us that even when people were exploring and discovering new places, the wilderness could be a dangerous and unpredictable place.
Very true.
And it leaves us with that big question.
Yeah.
What actually happened to those 115 men, women, and children?
It's a question that keeps historians and, amateur detectives going back to the evidence again and again, searching for new clues, hoping that one day they'll finally solve it.
It's crazy to think that even now, with all of our technology and everything we know about investigation, there are still mysteries that we just can't solve.
It really makes you wonder.
It really does. I mean, each one of these cases, the Sodder Children, D.B. Cooper, the Roanoke colony,
Yeah.
they show us that there's just so much that we don't know.
It's true. And it's not even just about the specifics. It's more about what these mysteries tell us about ourselves as humans,
Right.
about our need to make sense of things, to find patterns and create stories, even when we're dealing with the unknown.
We want answers. And when we don't have them, we have to speculate and theorize and sometimes even make things up.
Exactly.
Like take D.B. Cooper, for example. I mean, he's almost like a mystical figure at this point.
He is.
A symbol of taking risks and rebelling against the system.
Mm-hmm.
People really want to believe that he got away with it.
I get that. It's like
Yeah.
the ultimate underdog story. And
Yeah.
that's what makes these unsolved mysteries so interesting.
They show us what's possible, a world where anything could be true.
A world without limits.
But that can be a good thing and a bad thing. On one hand, it really gets our imaginations going and keeps these cases alive, but it can also lead to a lot of speculation and conspiracy theories.
And that takes us further from the truth.
It does. So how do we balance that sense of wonder and possibility with being skeptical and thinking critically?
It's tricky. We need to be open to different ideas, but we also have to look at the evidence and thinking like, question our assumptions and just accept that sometimes we might never have all the answers.
It's a real balancing act.
Mm.
But I think that's what makes these deep dives so fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about finding all the answers. It's about the journey, the exploration, getting our brains working and thinking about things from different angles and challenging what we think we know.
I totally agree. And I think these mysteries also teach us about the limits of what we can understand.
It's true.
We might never know for sure what happened to those children or if D.B. Cooper made it or what happened at Roanoke.
Yeah.
But just trying to make sense of these things, of trying to figure out what seems impossible is important.
It is. It makes us face the unknown
Right.
and realize that there are some things we may just never fully grasp. In a world that's obsessed with certainty and data, it's nice to just admit that sometimes we don't know.
It really is. It reminds us that there's still so much to explore, still questions to ask,
Yeah.
and stories to tell even if we don't have a clear ending.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into these mysteries, I want to encourage everyone to keep thinking about them. Keep asking questions. Don't lose that curiosity. What are your theories? What parts stood out to you? Let us know on social media using #TheDeepDive.
We'd love to hear what you think.
Because at the end of the day, that's what keeps these mysteries alive, the conversation, the shared curiosity about things we don't know. Who knows? Maybe someday some new evidence will come up, someone will have a new idea, and one of these impossible cases will be solved.
Wouldn't that be something? But until then, the mystery continues, and that's part of what makes it so interesting.